Welcome to another IronCAD example here using Toby's practice models. This one's dated 9/3/24. This is a common base, very simple part, basically a rectangular shaped part with countersunk holes. So we'll go ahead and create this, very easy in IronCAD. So we'll just use drag and drop to drop the shape out, adjust it with the handles, drop a custom hole on the part, and use our TriBall to create a rectangular pattern. So very simple to do, very quick. So I'll hop over to IronCAD and show you how this is done. This one does kind of serve as a good basic intro to how you can use IronCAD to design some basic parts. This is just a very simple one. So again, we're going to work in inch units. So your units down at the bottom where you can change your units here. So we're in inch units, and we're just going to drag and drop and extrude out. And when we click down, we get our handles, and by default, it already has a handle highlighted, which is the yellow one. And in our case, we're just going to type in the overall length of this, which is 8. So we'll type in that value, and then when we hit enter, it automatically switches over to the opposite handle, which is the width in this case, and it gives a value for 5 for that. Then the last time it toggles over to the height value, and we can just type in the value for that, which is 0.75. So that's quickly to size that, and we don't have to go into any sketches to draw that geometry. So here's one interesting thing, just to let you know. So the next thing we're going to drop a hole into this part. I'm going to drop on this corner so I can offset it the distance here from the corner. But just one thing to note in IronCAD, so the way we drop on faces, it's always normal to that face, which is easy to understand. However, if you drop onto a point, it's going to do it in the viewing direction. The face that has the most viewing, which is in this case is this direction here is the most viewing. So if you wanted to drop up on a point, if we have it like this, now if I dropped a shape onto this part on that vertex, it's going to drop up. So that's what we want to do in this case, is we want to drop on that hole. So that's something you just need to know when you're dropping in and using IronCAD and you're using drag and drop. But we're just going to go into our mechanical holes. We're going to drag and drop it onto that point. And again, in this case, we are going to use an English hole here, and we're going to use a countersunk hole in this case, and we're just going to type in our values, which we have our values for this is a 0.5, a hole that's going to be a through hole inside of there, and we have a counter sunk diameter of 1, and a depth of, the depth of that is 0.25. So we've got that inside of there, and I have this turned on, with which is the TriBall turned on with that check mark there. So when we go ahead and hit OK to this to apply our hole, it automatically leaves our TriBall on there. So now we can just position this in place. And what we know is this has got a certain distance between the two holes on each side, and we know the overall length, so it's just some mass here. So I'm just going to pull this in one direction, one larger than the other, so I know which way I'm going. When I right click, I can say move here. So we know this top one is going to be basically 8 minus 6.75, so it's 1.25 divided by 2 is going to be that distance. And where the other one is going to be the same thing, the 3.5 minus 5, which is 1.5 divided by 2 is 0.75 for that. So we can type that in there or do the math either way. So we'll type that in, and that basically gives us our corner position for our shape. Then we can do the same thing on our handle here. We're going to drag again this way and up. And again, I'm going to right click and drag on both of these cases. So when I right click, I'll get a menu. So this time I'm not going to move it. I'm actually going to create a rectangular pattern. In this case, we know the first one. We know the distance spacing is again that 6.75 for that distance. And we're going to go the tab key 2 down to get to the second distance, which is 3.5, and that will put all of our 4 holes in each corner. So that's all it takes to build this model. We can hop over to our properties to look at this, and we have a density, mass density of 7800 for this document, so it's 8.12 is the mass for this file. So very simple to do in IronCAD. Of course, you can always change your color settings to whatever you like for your part, but that's a very simplistic part to build in IronCAD, but gives you some basics on how we use our TriBall and our handles to create some geometry with the drag and drop. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Thanks.